In this video, I want to clarify what percentiles are. According to the definition, a percentile is the data value that corresponds to a given proportion of the data. For example, the median is the 50th percentile. So the median is the middle value in a sorted data set. It's the one in the middle that is greater than half of the values, less than half of the values. So it corresponds to half of the data, or otherwise to 50%. So the median is the 50th percentile. The first quartile, which is by definition the data value at the 25% point, so 1/4 of data points sorted in increasing order, that is the 25th percentile. The 10th percentile is the value of the data, or the score in a set of scores, that is greater than or equal to no less than 10% of the data. So the 10th percentile is the value that is greater than 1/10 of the data and is less than 90% of the data. And conversely, the 90th percentile is the score that is exceeded by up to 10% of the scores. So it is less than 10% and greater than 90%. So percentiles are data values associated with given proportions. Let's look at some more examples in this simulated data set. These are 50 data points. There are 10 on each row. If we first sort them in ascending order, so the first one is the smallest, the last one is the largest. And so at these sorted values, 20% of the data is on the first row, 40% of the data on the first two rows, and so on. So in this data set, the 10th percentile is 83 because 10% of the data, the 10% smallest values in the data are these. It's the first 5 values. The first 5 values in the data set of 50 values is the 10% of values. And because they're sorted in ascending order, this is the smallest, this is the 5th, and so it's the 10th percentile. So the 10th percentile is equal to 83. In the same way, we define the 20th percentile to be the value that is at the 20% point, so it's 88. The 50th percentile is the value in the middle, so it's 97. That's also the median in this set. The 75th percentile, which is the same as the third quartile, is 111, which is above 75% of the data, below 25%. And the 90th percentile is 119. 119 is the score that is above 90% of scores and below 10% of scores. So these are the percentiles. A very closely related term is the percentile rank. The percentile rank is the percentage of values that are equal or lower to a data value. And for example, the percentile rank of the median is 50, because by definition, the median is greater than 50% of the data, therefore its percentile rank is 50. The percentile rank of the first quartile, by definition, is 25. The percentile rank of a score that is less than 90% of all scores is 10, because if the score is less than 90% of all scores, it's greater than or equal to 10% of all scores. So it's 10. The percentile rank of a score that is greater than or equal to 90% of all scores is 90. And going back to our simulated data set, the percentile rank of 83 is the proportion or the percentage of scores that are less than or equal to it. So 83 is less than or equal to 6 values out of 50, which is 12%. Therefore, the percentile rank of 83 is 12. The percentile rank of 102, this value here, which is greater than or equal to 60% of the data, is 60. The percentile rank of 120 is therefore 96. There is 4% of the data above it and 96% of the data below or equal to it. So the percentile rank of 120 is 96. Obviously, the percentile rank can be between 0 and 100. Now, in practice, we use the word percentile a bit more loosely to mean related but not exactly the same things. So we will use the word percentile when we actually mean percentile, or when we mean percentile rank, or when we mean a percentage or a proportion of the data. And which one we mean is generally quite clear from the context once you're familiar with the notion of the percentile and its converse, the percentile rank. So as an example, we might say a child is at the 10th percentile. When we say that, we mean that the score that this child got on some test is less than 90% of scores. So 90% of children score higher. So 10% of children score less than or equal to the score of this child. So we say then that this child is at the 10th percentile. This is not according to the formal definition, but this is standard usage. You may also hear something like a score is in the 5th percentile. When we use an expression like this, we actually refer to a proportion of data. So this would mean that the score we're talking about is within the lowest 5%. It could be lower than the 50th percentile, or it could be at the 5th percentile, but it's within the lowest 5% when we say it's in the 5th percentile. Finally, we might say something like the 16th percentile is 1 standard deviation below the mean. This is actually proper usage. It means that 16% of values are less than 1 standard deviation below the mean. So all of these uses of the word percentile, which are slightly different, are related to the same concept, to the idea of the proportion of the data that are associated with a given value.